We were 2 years out of business, and you can test a lot for yourself, but when the competition comes, you see where you are, and that's what we are here for.
Rallying is also an emotional sport. Perhaps not so much today as it used to be before, but I've been involved in the sport for 30 years or more, and I have a lot of emotions, I must say.
FIA World Rally Championships, presented by Subaru. Test drive the Subaru Outback, the world's first sport utility wagon.
SI, driven by Per Svan. Mark Higgins drove a kit car version of Nissan's Little Micra. And Pavel Sibera gave the new Skoda Octavia its debut, amidst rumours that it might well appear next year as a World Rally car. The end of leg one saw the cars tackle a super special stage in Jyväskylä itself. Kenneth Eriksson ended the day in 7th place.
Opens.
Teammate Colin McRae was 6th.
Into open, hairpin right. Gravel. 36 left open.
Mäkinen, suffering turbo and intercom problems, ended leg one in 5th place. There were 3 Ford Escort World Rally cars in the top 4. Juha Kankkunen was 4th. Jarmo Kutuleito split the works cars. He was 3rd in a privately entered Escort, while Carlos Sainz was 2nd.
Para derecha, derecha, buena meta de tierra. Para uno corto, tosar. Izquierda, buena de tierra. Chazar, para derecha, buena corta, ras.
But incredibly, the overnight leader was Marcus Gronholm. Toyota must have been overjoyed. This was, after all, just a test. Tactics, however, were to play a further part. 2nd place became 6th when Sainz decided to drop back down the leaderboard, deliberately booking into the day's last time control a minute late and incurring a 10-second penalty.
The last 2 stages we were backing a little bit because we didn't want to be first car on the road at all.
Why is that?
Because if it is dry like it seems like it is, it's not good at all tomorrow.
So the revised leaderboard looked like this. Gronholm would start day 2 with a lead of 4 seconds over Kutuleito, with Kankkunen, Mäkinen and McRae also gaining a place as a result of Sainz's gamble. No one, it seemed, was more surprised at events than the rally leader.
It's a little bit surprised, yes, but it's good for Toyota and also for me. It's very nice to lead a World Championship rally.
And at dawn. 10 stages well to the southwest of Jyväskylä would provide a stiff test. Would Sainz's decision to drop those 10 seconds pay off? One man who could answer that question was Gronholm, who was clearing a path through the loose gravel for the others. As Sainz himself had discovered in New Zealand 3 weeks earlier, running first on the road in conditions like these is almost guaranteed to lose time. If the first leg had delighted Toyota's management, the second day brought them back to reality. While Gronholm's car was acting like a road sweeper, Oriol's problems were all mechanical. Suspension and then transmission breakages cost nearly 3 minutes in 5 stages. Second placed Jarmo Kutuleito, meanwhile, was trying just a little too hard. Kutuleito's finished 3rd on his home event for the past 2 years and was aiming higher. Sainz's gamble was indeed paying off. He began well, setting the fastest time on 2 of the day's first 4 stages and had grabbed the lead after stage 8. Just 1 second behind Sainz was Kankkunen. Traditionally dominated by Finns, the rally was now led by a Spaniard. The fact that it was his teammate was some consolation to Kankkunen, as was the young reception committee, which awaited his arrival at virtually every service halt. Kenneth Eriksson had set the fastest time on the day's second stage and looked to be enjoying himself. He was running behind Sainz, getting the same benefit of a cleaner line through the gravel. In the other Impreza, McRae began the day just 9 seconds behind Gronholm. He was concentrating just on finishing a rally which he felt sure would favour Mäkinen. Stage 5, the first of the day. As the car nears the stage finish, there's no hint of any problem. Yet immediately it passes the flying finish line, an all too familiar dull rattle is a sure sign that the rally is over. Retirement number 5.
There's talk that it might be the cam belt again. That's something that happened in New Zealand and in Portugal. Do you think that's possible?
Well, I don't really know. I'm not an engineer. There's definitely an engine problem around that area, so you need to talk to David Lapworth or some of the engineers.
From a personal point of view, how do you feel?
Obviously, pretty gutted. The championship's really out the window now, unless Tommy and Carlos had a disaster here. I don't think it's possible to catch them.
McRae's departure, together with Oriol's problems, meant that Uwe Nittel moved up into 10th position. Ahead of Nittel and behind the championship contenders, a trio of Scandinavian drivers. Pasi Hagstrom was 9th after stage 10. 8th in an identical Toyota Celica was Thomas Jansson, with Eriksson one of 2 Swedish drivers in the top 10. 7th was Sebastian Lindholm, like Cutuleto driving a privately run Ford Escort World Rally car, and also like Cutuleto losing precious seconds. Finnish drivers were also making their presence felt in Formula 2, the World Cup for 2-litre cars. Tony Gardemeister in the Nissan Sunny was 3rd in the class, nearly a minute behind the Volkswagen Golf of Tapio Laukkanen, which was 2nd. It was, though, business as usual as far as the leading manufacturer was concerned. The flying Seat Ibiza of Harry Rovanperä led his home event by 22 seconds. The local spectators had obviously let the whole thing go to their heads. With McRae gone, Subaru anxiously hoped that Eriksson wouldn't suffer the same fate. Kenneth had climbed to 4th after stage 11. Gronholm had slipped to 5th. Sainz had been right. First on the road wasn't the place to be. After stage 11, Mäkinen had climbed to 3rd, 15 seconds down on Sainz, the rally leader. Kankkunen was just 4 seconds behind his colleague. But no matter how small the advantage, all that mattered was that Sainz led. Than the rest, Gronholm was desperately trying to stay in touch with the leaders, but was still losing time to them on each stage. Eriksson's Subaru started stage 12, 4 seconds ahead of the Toyota. But any thoughts Kenneth and co-driver Staffan Parmander had of a good finish ended in exactly the same way as McRae's had, parked up with a broken cam belt.
10 ner nu. Är detsamma?
Ja. Jag är bara svänga åt sidan.
Of course, very disappointed because this was my best Finnish rally ever. So I really felt I was on the target all the time. So of course, very sad for me, for Colin, and also for the team, of course. But still, I think we are leading the manufacturers. So we must be positive, looking forward to Indonesia.
So this was now a 3-way fight. Over the day's 3 final stages, Kankkunen slipped from 2nd to 3rd.
Two Finns surrounding a Spaniard. What's going to happen tomorrow?
Little bullfight for sure, but we will see then how it ends up.
Sainz had led for much of the second day, but lost that lead on the very last of the day's 10 stages, so he would start the final day in 2nd place.
For me, it's good if Tommy is in front of me. I can see the lines and I can see how much he's cutting sometimes and all that, which it's nearly impossible for me to know. So I think in a way it's good I'm not first car in the road.
Mäkinen had been fastest on 4 of those 10 stages, including all of the final 3. It seemed as though he'd been holding something back, waiting until the right moment to make his move. That moment had obviously arrived.
Now, yesterday, every team was playing tactics of who would go first on the road, who'd be second, who'd be third, etc., etc. You're going to be first on the final leg. Does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter. My tactic is keep flat out and try to win this rally.
Tommy'd start the last leg in the perfect position to do just that. His lead was only 2 seconds, but it was enough. Kankkunen was another 2 seconds behind Sainz, with Gronholm and Kytöleito too far adrift to offer any real challenge. There was no mistaking who commanded the spectators' support. To the Finns, it was unthinkable that anyone else but one of their own should win. Day 3's 8 final stages, covering around 135 kilometres to the southeast of Jyväskylä, would decide the rally. Mäkinen was once again first on the road, and he was fastest on both the first 2 stages. Sainz was only a second slower on stage 15, the day's first, but mechanical problems weren't far away. Power steering and differential failure cost over a minute over the following 3 stages, and the challenge to Mäkinen looked to be over. As Carlos and co-driver Luis Moya arrive at the end of stage 18, their frustration and disappointment at losing the rally almost within sight of the finish is clear to see.
Carlos, the same problem?
Yes. No diffs.
What about the power steering?
Yeah, power steering now it's okay, but I don't think we can continue. I'm losing all the traction. I don't know if we can continue.
All eyes were now on Kankkunen. He and Juha Repo were quickest on the 3rd stage of the day, but the gap between their Ford and the leader's Mitsubishi was now 9 seconds. Marcus Gronholm hadn't given up trying though. The Toyota set the fastest time on the next pair of stages, and with Sainz dropping back, looked to be on course for a podium finish on its first ever appearance on a World Championship event. Jarmo Kytöleito was 5th, but took advantage of Sainz's problems to share 4th place with the Spaniard after stage 19. Gronholm, however, was still over a minute and 20 seconds ahead, so 4th seemed the best result the young Finn could hope for, with just 3 short stages remaining. This year by Gustavo Treyes from Uruguay. His new Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 4 would finish 4th in the group, but the result was enough for him to retain the Group N World Championship. With 4 events remaining, the first world title had already been decided. But what of Sainz? It was obvious as Carlos started stage 20 that the car was struggling for grip. He'd already picked up a 30-second penalty for leaving a service area late, and the team was powerless to do anything to rectify the situation. When the car finally stopped, Sainz and Moya resorted to pushing it, but to no avail. Their rally was over.
It's a little bit frustrating because we were pushing very hard. I think it is not easy at all to fight here with Tommy and Juha. We were really 100% pushing 100% during the whole rally. I think we could finish first both legs, and today after the first stage it was looking quite good.
Marcus Gronholm was the driver who gained the most from Sainz's retirement, but the celebrations were short-lived. The Corolla made it through stage 20 but stopped with a fuel problem on the road section immediately afterwards. To retire with only 20 kilometres left was a bitter blow.
For the moment it's not so nice, but if we look for these three days, so it was very good rally for us. The car was so nice to drive and everything was going so well, but a little bit more.
But once this disappointment of not actually finishing has gone, do you think you'll be happy with the way the car performed here?
We're totally delighted. Obviously, we've got a bit more to come from this car. I think the other teams have got a bit to do to look to us. Obviously, a lot to do. We have to look very carefully what's happened here. And these small problems can be something quite big, so no stone left unturned. And we'll just work away at honing the team into the correct shape.
There was, though, one piece of good news for the team. After his problems on the second day, Oriol eventually finished 8th. The final pair of stages involved a water crossing for the spectators, but nothing would stop them from witnessing the thrilling climax to the rally.
We are not in a hurry. It's just a question of everything works all right and I don't make any mistakes.
Of course I try till the end, but quite impossible, I think.
Behind the leading pair, Thomas Jansson brought his Toyota Celica home in 5th place. Sebastian Lindholm was 4th in his Ford Escort. And Jarmo Kutuleito kept intact his record of finishing 3rd. The last 2 stages saw the leaders set the fastest time on 1 stage each, which meant Kankkunen once again had to settle for 2nd place. In an exact repeat of last year's result, Mäkinen was able to keep Kankkunen at bay. His 4th successive win on the Rally of Finland puts Mäkinen into the record books. Only the 2nd time in the history of the World Championship that a driver has achieved that feat. No wonder there were some delighted faces in the Mitsubishi team. This was Tommy's 4th victory of the year.
I think it was one of the tightest rally this year. From the start, flat out 2.5 days, just a couple of stages, last couple of stages we could slow down a little bit. It was very, very tight.
Seppo Harjanne too was setting records. This was his 20th win on a World Championship rally. He's now the most successful co-driver in the championship's history. The top 3 places were identical to last year. Mäkinen, Kankkunen and Kutuleito, with Lindholm and Jansson making the top 5 an all-Scandinavian affair. With Sainz, McRae and Ericsson all failing to finish, Mäkinen couldn't have had a better result. The maximum 10 points give him a lead of 18 points in the Drivers' Championship, with only 4 rounds remaining. In the series for manufacturers, no points for Subaru, but they still lead. Mitsubishi have now closed the gap to just 8 points, with Ford still 3rd. Only just, though. As predicted then, a jubilant Tommi Mäkinen took his 4th win on the Rally of Finland. A victory which may well have secured the World Drivers' Championship for the 2nd successive year. Next, the series makes its only visit of the year to Asia for the Rally Indonesia. Last year's event ended in retirement for both the Subarus, and the team will be desperate that they don't repeat that performance this year. Cam belt problems, though, have plagued the cars since Portugal. Will the team be able to find and cure the problem in time?
In reality, we don't have to get the engines ready till the day before the event. We'll air freight the parts out, and I think you'll find the resource and sort of engineering expertise that's going to be thrown at that in the next 10 days is going to be pretty immense.
Immense is also an excellent word to describe Mäkinen's performance. 4 wins from 10 rallies so far this year, and on that kind of form, who'd bet against him retaining his title?
Last couple of stages we could slow down a little bit. It was very, very tight.
Seppo Harjanne too was setting records. This was his 20th win on a World Championship rally. He's now the most successful co-driver in the championship's history. The top 3 places were identical to last year. Mäkinen, Kankkunen and Kutuleito, with Lindholm and Jansson making the top 5 an all-Scandinavian affair. With Sainz, McRae and Ericsson all failing to finish, Mäkinen couldn't have had a better result. The maximum 10 points give him a lead of 18 points in the Drivers' Championship, with only 4 rounds remaining. In the series for manufacturers, no points for Subaru, but they still lead. Mitsubishi have now closed the gap to just 8 points, with Ford still 3rd. Only just, though. As predicted then, a jubilant Tommi Mäkinen took his 4th win on the Rally of Finland. A victory which may well have secured the World Drivers' Championship for the 2nd successive year. Next, the series makes its only visit of the year to Asia for the Rally Indonesia. Last year's event ended in retirement for both the Subarus, and the team will be desperate that they don't repeat that performance this year. Cam belt problems, though, have plagued the cars since Portugal. Will the team be able to find and cure the problem in time?
In reality, we don't have to get the engines ready till the day before the event. We'll air freight the parts out, and I think you'll find the resource and sort of engineering expertise that's going to be thrown at that in the next 10 days is going to be pretty immense.
Immense is also an excellent word to describe Mäkinen's performance. 4 wins from 10 rallies so far this year, and on that kind of form, who'd bet against him retaining his title?